Hi everyone, I'm Mike, the two-lane traveler, here for another road tripping video. If you find my video interesting, I'd truly appreciate it if you'd click the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks. In your travels, you've probably seen some interestingly styled structures. A museum in the shape of a giant fish, a building shaped like a picnic basket, or perhaps a house shaped like a spaceship. This style is known as novelty, programmatic, or mimetic architecture. It became popular in the 1930s as cars became more universally owned and roads became filled with travelers. Gas stations, motor courts, and restaurants began to compete for the same customers. Using novelty architecture was a great way to grab a potential new customer's attention. One way to do that was to design your business in a way that would really stand out from others. The 1950s and 60s saw many new examples of novelty architecture, and there are still lots of new examples today. Very unusual designs still appear along America's highways. Let's take a look at some now. Burton Shell's station in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, is a good example of novelty architecture. It was built in 1930 by R.H. Burton to bring attention to his filling station. There were at least 8 of these stations built during that time period, but this is the only one remaining. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Haynes Shoe House in York, Pennsylvania was built in 1948 by Mahlon Haynes to advertise his shoe stores. Haynes never lived in the house, but it's been used as a vacation rental, museum, and ice cream shop. It's currently advertised as a vacation rental by owner. We took a tour of the house several years ago, but they didn't allow us to take any pictures inside, unfortunately. If you've ever driven Route 66 through Oklahoma, it would have been hard to miss the blue whale of Catoosa. Hugh Davis built the iconic figure as a gift for his wife in the 1970s. It became a popular swimming spot among locals and tourists. Davis eventually closed it to the public in 1988 when he could no longer care for it. He died in 1990 and the attraction fell into disrepair. It was later restored and reopened to the public. I don't know if this is the world's largest teapot, but the people of Chester, West Virginia say it is. The teapot was originally a large Hires root beer barrel sign. It was brought to Chester in 1938, where it was converted into a 14-foot tall teapot. It was designed to bring awareness to the large pottery industry in Chester at the time. Since we're on the subject of large drink containers, let's move down the road to Bedford, Pennsylvania, where a giant coffee pot resides. In 1927, Bert Coons built this coffee pot-shaped restaurant to attract visitors to his gas station. By 1990, it was being threatened with demolition. The coffee pot was moved to its present location and restored in 2004. Real airplanes have been used for novelty architectural purposes in the past, but brothers Henry and Elmer Nickel built their own airplane-shaped gas station in 1931 in Powell, Tennessee. Neither brother knew how to fly, but Elmer apparently liked airplanes, and they both thought it would be a good idea for attracting attention. 4 decades later, the brothers sold the station. Over time, it became abandoned, and the structure began rotting away. The property was purchased by a concerned citizen before the structure was bulldozed, and a long restoration process ensued. It began with getting the airplane gas station placed on the National Register of Historic Places. When restoration was completed, it became a barber shop. It's now used as a vacation rental by owner for overnight stays. As you drive along the Ohio River near Lesage, West Virginia, it's hard to miss either the Hillbilly Hot Dogs restaurant or its hot dog-shaped sign. Built in 1999, the restaurant decor gets your attention and serves its purpose. The place is often packed. The Windmill Restaurant was originally built by William B. Franklin around 1930 in Ronks, Pennsylvania. It became the Dutch Haven in 1946. Today it bills itself as the original Amish craft store and the largest Amish souvenir shop in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. But as the sign suggests, it's most famous for its shoe-fly pie. Unfortunately, the future of this unique bakery is uncertain as the store and several nearby properties are up for sale. Bono's Historic Orange in Fontana, California was owned by Joe Bono. At one time in the 20s and 30s, Route 66 was lined with stands like this that sat in front of the orange groves along this section of California. Bono's Orange sat about 3 miles east of its current location before it was purchased by Joe and moved here in the 1990s. Pal's Sudden Service is a local hamburger chain in East Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. Launched by Pal Barger in 1956, there are now 31 Pal's Sudden Service outlets. The first 2 are walk-up restaurants, while most of the remaining 29 stores are drive-thrus. The drive-thru restaurants are all designed in the same way, with a gigantic hamburger, hot dog, fries, and soft drink on the roof. Everyone in East Tennessee and Southwest Virginia knows with just a glance that they are nearing a Pal's Sudden Service restaurant. Staying with the Pal's Sudden Service theme, Restaurant Number 1 opened in 1956 and Restaurant Number 2 opened in 1958. The restaurants were of similar design until the early 1960s, when Number 2 added a giant international fiberglass hamburger man to the roof. Eventually, the intense blue color of the other restaurants was added as well. The Milk Bottle Grocery Building is located in Oklahoma City. It was constructed in the 1930s, but the milk bottle wasn't added until 1948. A half-century later, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. The building remains a popular photo op on Route 66 today. The myth persists even today that diners are mostly converted train dining cars. While some train cars have been converted into eateries, diners are factory-built, site-assembled buildings. Some diners, on the other hand, were designed to look like train cars, none more so than Stirling streamliners. These were popular in the early 1940s, but only 2 still exist, and only 1 remains open for business. The modern diner, built in 1940, resides in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and continues to serve great food today. Sadly, the Salem Diner in Salem, Massachusetts closed in 2019 and has yet to find a buyer and a new life. In 1933, Frank Redford created a uniquely designed gas station, restaurant, and eventually 6 teepees in Horse City called Wigwam Village. It no longer exists today. A few miles away in Cave City, Kentucky, Wigwam Village Number 2 was built in 1937 and still survives. The next 3 were built in New Orleans, Orlando, and Bessemer, Alabama, and no longer exist. Wigwam Village Number 6 is on Route 66 in Holbrook, Arizona, and was built in 1950. Also built in 1950 was Wigwam Village Number 7 in San Bernardino, California, on Route 66. All 3 of the remaining wigwam villages are on the National Register of Historic Places, and all 3 are still open for business. Do you have any other novelty architecture that you particularly like? If so, leave a comment below. If you liked my video, please consider pressing the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks.